This morning, Carolina People's full of action, and it's all about wildlife. What's it all about? You'll find out coming up next. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Franklin G. Burroughs Simeon B. Chapin Art Museum on the southern end of Ocean Boulevard, a little north of Myrtle Beach State Park. We're focused on wildlife action and its newly formed Carolina Forest chapter. And we're visiting with the National Senior Vice President of Environment for Wildlife Action, Pam Creech. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you for coming in early on a Thursday morning. What about this Myrtle Beach Art Museum?
Isn't it marvelous?
It is amazing.
It really
amazing. They were really kind to open it up all week, obviously, for us to get in here at 7 a.m.
That's true.
And, of course, the thrill of being right next to Myrtle Beach State Park is it kind of gets you in that mindset of talking about
yes, it does.
The corridor there, the new Carolina Forest chapter of Wildlife Action, which is very exciting.
Yes, it is. It is very exciting for us. International Paper has donated that 485 acres.
Is it that much? 485 acres?
Yes,
wow.
485 acres, and it's been the habitat for many years to a lot of animals, bear, deer, raccoon. There are a lot of plants that we want to, in our chapter, we're going to focus on naming those and doing trails and showing people and trying to educate them in dealing with these plants and the animals that live in that area, because Carolina Forest is a huge development. There are a lot of people that live there now, and there are so many animals there that we've had calls and DNR's had calls, and there have been sightings of black bear and deer and a lot of different animals, and we all need to learn how to coexist with these animals and to understand them and to work with them and to not be upset by a lot of animals that come up in our backyard. It tends to scare some people when they see a black bear in the backyard.
I bet it does, and rightfully so, right?
Yes, it does.
Sure.
It does. And we want to see them. I know I was driving down 905 a couple of years ago, and in a pecan grove there were two baby black bears, almost in Conway, that were up in the trees. And people were stopping by the roadside, and their children were getting out of the cars running to see the baby bears. And as we know, mothers protecting their children, it wouldn't be a good thing to let your children run up to a baby black bear because the mother is somewhere in that vicinity.
That's a great point.
Right. So we would like for everyone in Carolina Forest to know we've been posting our property. Some people in Avalon have seen us, and we've met a lot of great people that are very interested and are joining our new Wildlife Action chapter there. And we want to make that a beautiful area for people to go through the trails and see the animals, and we want to educate them on how to preserve that.
Absolutely. Pam, when you say posting, for viewers who may not know what you mean when you say we're posting there in Carolina Forest, what does that mean?
That means used to DNR would look after this property, and what we're doing now are putting signs that say Wildlife Action.
Oh, good. Okay.
It gives our telephone number.
Right.
Anyone that sees us posting that land, you know, they need to come over and talk with us.
Sure.
We're going to be posting some more of that land on Sunday.
Okay.
And up on the trees, it's a white sign with red Wildlife Action, and it has our telephone number.
Right.
And we'd like for them to call us, and if they're having problems, we've just had a man join the chapter that is really interested in snakes.
Really?
And he knows a lot about snakes. And a lot of people see snakes in their backyard, and if they have questions, he'd be more than happy to work with them on that.
All free advice, yeah.
Yes, all free advice.
Obviously,
we give free advice.
Wildlife Action, a nonprofit group, and an amazing national group based in Mullins, right there here in the heart of our viewing area.
Right.
Which is very special. A lot of beautiful land out there. And, of course, for viewers, actually some viewers may need to get off to work now or get family off to school. I think, is there a website to visit?
Wildlifeaction.com.
Okay, wildlifeaction.com if a viewer was interested in learning more about Wildlife Action. Also, I think you said the founding chapter president, Dr. Jim Lucan, He's got a number, the 903-0409
Yes.
number? Okay.
Yes, he is the president of this chapter.
Great.
And we would love for anyone to call him and talk with him. We'll let them know when our next meeting is.
Right.
We would be more than happy for them to join with us and help us with the trails and let us educate them and help everyone. There are a lot of Avalon, Plantation, another development that hasn't been named yet, and Waterford back up to our property.
Is that right?
Right.
Wow, that should be a great symbiotic relationship with those developments.
Yes, I think so. I think we could help them, and we could all help each other, and learn to live with that wildlife out there. Also, the people that back up to that know that they're going to have a beautiful forest area.
Right.
There's going to be no more development back there. We don't allow hunting. And what we wanted is to be a recreational area.
That is wonderful. Again, you say that Waterford and Avalon and the yet-to-be-announced development literally back right up to this 485-acre stretch.
Their backyards.
No hunting going on, and it'll
No.
be perfect for that. That is wonderful,
Right.
both for them and... Is there an opportunity for members of those developments to actually join Wildlife Action?
Yes, and we would like for them to, because we're a family organization.
Right.
We have camps in Mullins for children all through the summer, and they stay in the wild. We have bunks and camps and beds. We've just finished a new church in that area, which is absolutely gorgeous. We have a lot of trails, and we have named the trees and the plants. We have gardens out there that are water gardens, and we
They're
teach.
in Mullins at Wildlife
Yes.
Action. Yes.
And the children really enjoy that because so many times they don't know anything about nature. They don't know how to interact with nature and work with the animals. And we're teaching them how to do that. As a matter of fact, Saturday at 1 o'clock, we're having an archery contest.
Oh, great. Out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we would love for people to come out there and watch that. And we have people that teach archery. We have people that teach safety with hunting.
Right.
We even have a man out there that will teach you how to tie the old-fashioned flies that you bait and throw in and fish.
Wow.
We have a big pond, a lot of fishing area out there.
Oh, yeah, it's tremendous.
Yeah.
It is beautiful. We've actually filmed Carolina People out there a number of times for
Yeah.
viewers in the past. You remember, of course, Mullins being such a central location, literally
Right.
for our viewing area, for our viewers in the PD in southeastern North Carolina, as well as obviously here on the Strand, are very easy to trip.
Yes.
And of course, if someone wanted to, they can call that. If they need to get direction, they can either go online to wildlifeaction.com. I think we've got another 843 number on the back there, the 464 number. Some viewers may not want to call Dr. Lucan to ask him how to get there. They
That's
just
true.
want to call this.
Be 464.
Okay, 464.
8473.
8473. 843-464-8473. And they can call that number to get directions up there to Wildlife Action if they can't go online. Of course, the internet, the website, wildlifeaction.com, has got tremendous directions for folks to get up there, and a lot of great information.
Yes.
As well as great information about the fact that it's founding in what year?
1977.
Amazing.
We've been around 30 years.
Amazing.
And it started with 7 men that enjoyed camping and a lot of fellowship, sportsmanship, hunting. And most people do not realize this, but over that 30 years, Wildlife Action has put out 10,000 wood duck boxes.
No. 10,000.
10,000.
Now that's not just here. That's all over the
No,
country,
that's all over
the world.
all over the country.
Sure.
All over the country.
Wow.
And it started with 7 people in Mullins.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Of course, a lot of us think about Bunny Beeson, and folks here in the area have seen him, whether here on River Talk or Diane Devon Stokes show. They've seen Bunny Beeson down here, a very popular guy. You know, I've always wondered, how do you get that name Bunny? Do you have any idea? Have you ever asked him?
Well, when I met Bunny, I had to. He's a tall, hefty guy, and I thought about it, and one day I asked him, I said, Bunny, how did you get that name? And he said, well, my dad was a great rabbit hunter, and he always went rabbit hunting, and we had gone out to the farm and to his mother's, and all the men were gathering up, and they were getting the dogs together and everything, and I was playing. I was young, 3, 4 years old, and I was jumping around and hopping, and one person looked and said, well, he's hopping just like a bunny. And that nickname has stuck.
At that early an age?
At that early an age.
He's been Bunny for, I don't want to say how many years. That's right, a few years
Quite a
there.
few.
Yeah,
Quite a few.
That is, and you did point out it is a family organization. I know his wife and daughter and
Yes.
everyone have been involved. So, I mean,
Yes.
just the whole crew have been
involved
in helping
in
to
this.
grow wildlife action,
Yes.
spread it all over the country, and there
All
are
over the
chapters
country.
everywhere. I mean, Carolina Forest, albeit a new chapter, is one of a lot of chapters.
One of
around the
many.
country. Yeah,
One of many.
What first got you really interested in the environment, Pam? Is this something I think I saw? Of course, I know a little bit reading about you this
Yeah.
morning, having grown up. But for viewers who may not have met you or
Yeah.
know you in the area, what really got you involved in the environment?
Well, I grew up, my grandfather farmed. I had one grandfather that was a developer and one grandfather that was a farmer. And the farmer had chicken houses, and he had black Angus cows and pigs. And then I lived on a 37-acre farm. We didn't really farm, but it was on Holt's Lake, which is huge. It was kind of like White Lake. And we had deer and eagle. There's eagle there. And we even had a beaver, beaver dam. And I've ridden horses since I was 8 years old, so I love the outdoors.
Oh, yeah.
And I've always loved that. Now, living here in Horry County, I live in the Red Bluff area on some acreage, and I have 2 horses, 2 Arabians, Shy and Gray Man.
Yeah, I saw
And
that.
I just really love to ride.
You still ride a lot now?
Yes, I
oh,
do.
Yeah. Great.
And most people don't realize this, but if you get up really early in the morning, a lot of times you'll see fox. We have a red fox with the kits that comes out and crosses the road. I live on a dirt road with a lot of trees and forest around me.
Right.
I've seen bobcats and their babies. My German Shepherd and Black Lab didn't tree a mother bobcat one day. She took her babies up the tree and looked at them. But people need to understand that the bobcat could have killed both of my dogs. Those cats are not afraid of us. And you have to have a lot of respect for that. But I like living in the outdoors and that. Now, I met Bunny Beeson when we were working with mining regulation laws. And he was dealing with mining in residential areas. And I had a lot of respect for how they worked. Because we like to say that local people solving local problems, to sit down and work with people, not get angry and not have a problem, but just to sit down and work with people. And usually everyone can work it out to everyone's satisfaction. And I met him that way, and he invited me.
Fast friends.
Yes, we did.
Involved in wildlife action,
Yes.
and of course, working with the environment as a volunteer has not been new to you. That
No.
interest there to see your political chair for the Wynya Sierra Club, obviously
Correct.
very active with the Horry County League of Women Voters. Not
Yes.
totally the environment there, but obviously getting
Yes.
involved in semi-political activities that will really focus on great
Right.
community or in service activities.
Right.
That's tremendous.
And the League of Women Voters, all of us work together. Our organizations partner and work together because a lot of their interests are children, education, and environmental interests, because people seem to forget that the environment is what we live in. These animals need food and shelter, their habitat, and a way to cross different lines and to eat and to forage for food. And we as human beings need food, shelter, and clothing.
You highlighted earlier this morning, Pam, that long stretch of what was called the Socastee Swamp or Socastee Greenway. This 485 acres
Right.
that International Paper has donated to wildlife action. But it being a long stretch is very special for animals. What's the significance of that?
It is special for their habitat and for their foraging. Most people don't understand that deer travel for miles every night.
Every night?
Every night.
Wow.
As they eat. If you've ever been in the forest much, you will notice trails. And they're very obvious trails that the deer and the bear and wildlife follow.
Right.
That's one reason I like when they build roads, that they'll do underpass. And if it's an area where wildlife crosses, then we need to know that we need to leave that open for them. That way they will not be in our backyard and wanting to get into our trash can and wanting to eat the feed out of our bird feeders and those things. Because if you look at a bear and they're 200 and 300 pounds, they have to eat a lot of berries and a lot of they go a long way to eat.
Yeah.
And that is what is so special about this greenway. It connects to the east to other habitat. And we need to have that for our animals and the safety of our animals.
You know, Pam, a lot of folks, I hate to highlight that aspect, but a lot of folks do get anxious, whether they're in Avalon or Waterford. That's why it's so important they pick up the phone and call or go online, find a way to get involved with the Carolina Forest Chapter, because I'm sure there's little tips that can be provided of what to do if you see a bear. Don't get out of gun. I mean, you know, don't get too freaked out. Or a bobcat. But you've highlighted, obviously, this bobcat could rip your dogs up. These are 200 or 300 pound bears. If they were coming up to your neighborhood there in Avalon or Waterford, that would be a scary thing.
It would.
Folks need to call somebody, as opposed to taking drastic means.
Well, they do. And we don't want to hurt the wildlife, and we certainly don't want the wildlife to hurt our pets or our children. We need to educate our children. We think of bears as teddy bears.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And we sleep with them at night, and our children love them, and we don't think of them as being a wild animal. But they are. And we do. One of the most important things people need to remember is we don't need to feed wild animals.
Don't feed them. There's no need to feed them.
No.
So folks couldn't go out, even whether it's the Carolina Forest Chapter or any of the wildlife action chapters, anywhere around our viewing area, whoever it is, you're giving the same advice.
We don't want to feed bears. We don't want them to live in our backyard. We want them to forage and continue on their way down these corridors. We don't want to do that. Just like feeding the migratory birds. They become very aggravating when you start feeding the wild geese and they decide to live here. The golf courses have had problems with them. We don't need to feed the migratory birds, and we don't need to feed the bears so that they stay in our backyard. We want them to go on in the woods and enjoy their habitat. And people need to know that right now in the fall, bears are trying to eat a lot because they hibernate in the winter. And they will be out foraging, and people will be having more sightings of them at this time.
I got to say, I've got a 5-year-old daughter. I've watched Bambi with her a couple times, and this is very indicative. We've seen the bears hibernating, but we've also seen the deer traveling long distances to eat and keep, in that instance, the mother keeping Bambi warm at times, surely in the winter times. But it's fascinating. It's been a great view there, because you're highlighting everything really that children have grown up with. But that aspect is, we do want to think, we can provide for them, we can help them out, but surely they've done well for many hundreds, thousands of years without us.
Yes, they don't want to be put in cages. They're wild animals, they're not dogs, they're not cats, and we need to respect them and their habitat and their way of life.
What are some other, of course, you've been out to wildlife action many times and spent a lot of time out there. There's other things out there, and obviously some of the goals of the Carolina Forest Chapter, some of what surely growing the membership base. Dr. Lucan there, I believe. Share with viewers a little about him, what prompted him to co-found and now be the head of the Carolina Forest Chapter.
Dr. Jim Lucan and Bunny became fast friends. They have interests at Coastal, where he teaches. Dr. Lucan has a son that's interested in wildlife action, that really enjoys the out of doors and going to camp and that kind of thing. And Dr. Lucan is interested in natural resources and saving those and preserving those and the education. Therefore, he has become interested in wildlife action and has become a very good member and working, and enjoyed that in Carolina Forest. He lives in the Carolina Forest area.
Right.
And like I said before, we believe in local folks solving local problems. We've had people in Carolina Forest that have encountered wildlife, that they've had questions that they needed answered. So another thing about wildlife action, one of our mottos is we believe in putting back more than we take.
I love it. Giving more than we take.
Giving more than we take.
Putting back more than we take.
Exactly. And if we all would remember that, I think our natural resources would be better, and even our own personal life would be better.
That's a very good point. Just last week I was speaking at something last Thursday night, and there were 4 words over the kitchen at the Hard Rock Cafe: love all, serve all. And I love that. It was a great idea, much in the same way of giving back more than we take, because it's easy to take.
It's easy to take.
It's a little tougher to give back. Clearly you and Jim and Bunny and so many of the dedicated volunteers.
Yeah.
And there's a tremendous board there,
Yes.
men and women, who take a lot of time.
Yes.
Heard Bunny talk about his daughter, who I think's moved back from the West Coast and has gotten real active
Right,
in
she
wildlife
has.
action. His wife, who's gotten active, and the whole family, as you said.
They are very
is really
active.
wrapped around wildlife action.
Very caring.
Right.
Very caring, and working with their community in Mullins. They all go to the camps, and they all do their part there, and just really enjoy it, and the campfires at night. And the kids are really experiencing things at these camps that they're not able to experience on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, yeah.
We've lost so much of that. To watch the stars at night. I had a niece, and we were riding my horse, and we were coming back one night at twilight, and she's a very bright young lady. Yeah. And she was about 13, and I looked up, and it was bright, and you could see all the constellations and the stars.
No.
And I said, Amber, look up at that. Isn't that amazing? And she looked up, and she said, yes, that's really something. She said, we don't have those at my house.
Oh, come on.
And I said, what are you talking about? Well, she lived in Cary with the street lights. You could look up, and you couldn't see a star.
Right. Right.
And we need to remember our natural resources and the heavens and the stars and the animals and all of this. I think it helps build character. I think it gives the children a sense of belonging to nature and how to deal with that. And they absolutely love it. They love the camps. They love the learning how to tie the flies, and they learn fishing, and they even have little water gardens. And it shows all of the plants and things that go in these water gardens at the fort. And it teaches them how to do that. And we would love to see some of the Carolina forest people that their backyards back up to our refuge.
Right.
We would love to see them have water gardens and backyard habitats and things of this. And it would interest their children.
You know, the fascinating thing that you highlighted, even for the folks outside of Avalon and Waterford and the yet-to-be-named development, everyone, not only in Carolina Forest, but all over, should be interested in joining the Carolina Forest chapter, supporting this 485-acre preserve there, and really wrapping around, because there are other benefits aside from having a beautiful backyard.
Right.
Even aside from the animals having free area to roam, what are some of the other benefits of the preserve there?
Just nature. The trees and the different plants that we have lost. We've lost so much habitat. We've lost a lot of wetlands. We've lost some of the plants and the native plants that we have in this area. And what we want to do, which is exciting and would be fun for children and adults, is to go out into this forest, to look at the trails, to see the animals, to record the plants. I mean, what a project. What better project for your children or adults could you think to do? And it's also recreational. It's a huge area. Anyone in Carolina Forest is certainly welcome to join, and anyone in the Horry County area is welcome to join. And I think everyone would benefit from that. And we need to teach our children that we don't throw trash in the forest, and that we don't pull up the plants, and that we don't hurt the animals, and that we want to love those and preserve that for the children and the other people to come.
And you can still create great nature trails without disturbing nature.
Yes.
I mean, and people can coexist, albeit, as you said, not letting your children run up to baby bears, because there is a mother bear close by.
Right.
And also not playing around with bobcats either. And there's probably quite a few. I'm sure that the gentleman, the volunteer who's interested in snakes, can highlight some things not to play around with either.
Absolutely, be careful.
Right. There's great ways to coexist, and of course you all are really going to further that. Who are some of the other folks? I know you've got other dedicated folks there in Mullins. I remember interviewing Frank when we were out there. And
Frank is our
Caroline.
senior, Frank is our senior vice president of education.
Sure.
And he is always at Fort Wretch.
At Fort Wretch?
Yes,
Listen
at Fort Wretch.
I don't think we talked about Fort Wretch.
We did about that name, but as it was pointed out to me, that means that it's a fork in the road. And that is where Fort Wretch is located, in a fork of the road. And Frank is excellent. He does, and he'll be more than happy to speak at Kiwanis clubs or different organizations or schools.
Sure.
And educate the school children, talk about the land, the plants, the animals. He would be a great person for any group to ask to come and speak to them about wildlife action.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you'll talk to him about talk to him about getting back on the show. We'd love to get him back in.
Okay.
And the real driver for you, Pam, what really pushes you to stay involved in supporting the environment, is it because you live in the environment? It's because you're out there, you can actually see the constellations at night?
Yes, it is. I love that. And not only that, we have to have our environment. So many people forget that if we don't have our environment, clean water, clean food, shelter, everything that this provides, we're not going to be able to live either at some point. I don't mean that we should use the environment in a way that we don't go on with our other life and our development and the other things that we do. I don't. But your environment is how you live.
Those are great words.
And we need to preserve that.
That's great. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Pam Creech, the Senior Vice President of Environment, National Senior Vice President of Environment and Wildlife Action. You know, I've always screwed up the difference between slogans and mottos. You know, I've never really gotten them right, but it really doesn't matter. Take the time to write these two down, whichever is which. Local people solving local problems, and want the desire to put back more than you take out. Put back more than you take out. What a great mission. You heard Pam talk about it. Bunny and his family and all those volunteers have been talking about it for 30 years. You can learn more about Wildlife Action. Go online to wildlifeaction.com. That's www.wildlifeaction.com, or pick up the phone and dial 843-464-8473. Pam Creech.